Today's episode is, in my opinion, one of my favorites. It's with a guy called Simon Severino, and he's a sales expert. And what he's done, what we talked about in this episode, was how to really break down the dark art of sales, of marketing as well, and how to create a repeatable process that anyone can start now and actually have genuine impact and growth in their business without it becoming salesy, without it becoming technical, or without having to be a fantastic salesperson, so to speak. And it's about putting systems in place to allow other people to do much of the work for you and to have a really sensible approach to getting yourself out there and generating interest and authority and so much in between as well. I just love the way his brain works. He just seems to break down things into simple, what seem completely achievable steps of something that I know so many people struggle with. And there's areas of this interview that I got genuine value from. And I'm excited to share this with you. So without further ado, let's jump into it.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us, who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools, and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits, and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day, and this is Systemize Your Success.
Welcome to Systemize Your Success. Today, I'm joined by Simon Severino, who is a LinkedIn top voice on sales leadership and sales prospecting. He's also the author of the Strategy Sprints book, which is a proven method for solving sales problems and building a repeatable sales process. And he's been a guest on over 1,300 podcasts. So he is actually the expert in that realm as well in this case. He's also a TEDx speaker and a Forbes contributor. And when he's not working, he's competing in triathlons and taking care of his 3 kids. So it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. I've been really excited from when you booked this, me looking into what you're doing and how you're helping other business owners. And I was saying just off camera, so to speak, before, how I think there's quite a lot of similarities in values and in what we're trying to actually, the good we're trying to do in the world and how we're trying to help people. So yeah, really, really excited to have you on the show. So welcome.
Thank you, Steve, for having me. Hello, everyone. Excited to share some of the sales practices that are working and how we might systemize sales.
Sounds good. Fantastic. So before we sort of get into the grass, so to speak, I'd love to hear the story, the why behind what you do, why you bothered to spend the time and effort to come up with a new method for sales. I mean, sales has been going along for a long time. So you obviously thought something was broken about it to justify the energy put into creating the system that you've done, and also then to go and to write a book about it. So what is it that you saw in the industry, or the challenges that you were facing or people around you are facing, that really led you on this path to what you now help people do?
Everything is broken about sales. Nobody loves sales. Nobody loves to be sold. Nobody loves to sell. Do you like to be sold anything? I don't like to be sold anything. I like to buy things sometimes. And if you look out there, where is there a system for helping people buy? I didn't see any. There were some good philosophies, but they are 40 years old. So I had to transpose them into the modern day. But I am here to coach business owners who have a digital business in the year 2024. Where is there a sales method for being authentic, for being you, for actually creating value and having that create sales on repeat with profit rates above 90% and with win rates above 60%? I didn't find that. I find old methods and I find outdated practices. And I say, okay, let's share this with the world. There is a need here. Solopreneurs, small teams, they need proper sales systems. So let's let's share these things. That became the method, became the book, became the company, became what is today a global franchise.
Fantastic. And what did you do before you got into this realm of work?
I was a strategy advisor in one of the global advisories. And so I would fly to the clients, and there were boards of Fortune 500 companies. And I was sitting in those boards, and I was getting the toughest challenges. For example, how can we beat our competitor? So, and there was no clear, simple answer to that, because the products were great on both sides. Competitor products, amazing. Their product, amazing. So how do you differentiate? Where is the edge? How do you enter new markets or stay in your dominant market with a new, fresh offer? Those things were emotionally challenging, intellectually challenging. And so I loved it. And I've did nothing else for 21 years. I'm now 44. I'm still doing that just on my own.
And so when you say you're still doing it, you're doing it with your own clients, you mean you're basically just transitioned what the experience, the knowledge you had then, and bring that into what you now do for yourself?
Yeah, it's still, how do we enter a market, dominate the market, stay in the market? That's still the question that my clients have. And we do this now with online coaching and with one-on-one and with groups and with communities. But the question is still the same. How do we enter a market, win in the market, stay in the market?
Yeah, of course. All right. So if we take the hypothetical story or situation, if you like, if you're a solopreneur or small business owner, you're starting to see some traction in your products, you've got some good feedback, you're onto a good thing, and now you want to step things up. You need to actually start making some reliable, some consistent sales to get more passivity with the sales, so you can focus on other stuff. Like, where does that journey start for most small business owners? Like, how do they go from basically winging it to having a process? And then we can go a little bit further down this podcast into, okay, so how do I now start building a team around that and hiring my first ever salesperson to help me?
So step one is you define one audience, one channel, one offer. And this is when you move from being an amateur to being a pro. You have defined your, we call it the ICP, the ideal client profile. And I can even show an example for people watching. Like on the left side, we help them define their ideal client in five levels deep. On the right side, there is the anti-ideal client. What's the opposite of that? So the first exercise is you define your ideal client and you find the opposite of the ideal client. Now, from there, we have to pick the main offer. It's the most profitable, most scalable offer. And with that offer, pick the right channel. What's the right channel? You might say, oh, for me, it's Instagram, or for me, it's X. No, because it doesn't depend on you. It's where they gather information before they decide. It's where they hang out. So most of my clients, they're in the B2B space. So for most of them, it's LinkedIn and email. LinkedIn, email, or YouTube and email is their main channels, or their podcast and email. So when you pick your main channels, now you are starting to actually create a structure, because now every week we can optimize that. We can systemize, optimize things. We start writing down the SOPs. We do A/B tests all the time, and whatever works, we write it down. And now you have a playbook, because those things that work, we simplify it, right? We say, okay, what are the marketing processes, sales processes, and operations, which when you deliver. And just these three things, we start writing it down with them. So now you're getting somewhere. You're getting into a structure, because soon these people will say, Simon, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't have time now to do this. I know I should do this. I should be on 3 podcasts every day. Yeah, I know. But when should I do that? So now we get into the time crunch. And when they have the time crunch, this is the moment when you need those processes, as you know and as you teach, because now it's time to delegate everything that is not creating growth. You will do the growth tasks, and you have to hand over now the marketing tasks, the sales tasks, and the ops tasks. Otherwise, you won't have the time to do that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you may well know that I'm a systems-driven kind of guy. Podcast Systemize Your Success. So I'm all about creating systems around things. So I love what you're saying, and I think one question that popped into my mind when you were saying that is, and something that I do with a lot of my clients is they approach things often at a too high level approach to delegation. And so what I mean by that is that, say you have a sales process. So currently you are the head of sales, you're the sales assistant, you're the sales admin, whatever. You're basically sitting in every single seat. And one of the challenge I see in many aspects of business, whether it's in delivery or in sales or in marketing, whatever, is that someone goes, right, I need to delegate this role, which is, sales. And that is a really complicated, multi-step, multitask, often possibly multi-person, multi-app like scenario or process. And so it becomes overwhelming because they can't see how to give someone the entirety of the role. But you actually broke it down then when you were talking and said, actually, sales is a multi-step process. And so where in that process do you find it easiest for your clients to start in the delegation of some of the smaller parts of the puzzle? And what do you typically see as the most benefit for the business owner to keep hold of the longest, because maybe it's the hardest thing to actually effectively delegate?
Yeah, we don't go role by role. We go task by task. So we start writing down what everybody's doing. And then we say, come with a list. Tomorrow we have an SOP meeting. So come with a list of the things you're doing. And per task, write down how you're doing it in 5 sentences. So, for example, Lou, who is the guy who gets me on podcasts, he writes down, okay, I'm getting Simon on podcasts. That's my task. And then he writes down how he does it. He researches the right podcast. He finds out the email of the podcast host. He sends the email template. He follows up. He schedules. He hands over. That's a process, right? And so if he's doing that well, now from there, the next expectation will be, how can we improve this process? So the next expectation is he coming up with ideas to simplify it or to have it have more impact to the other tasks. So we have also marketing, we have also sales, we have also ops. How can you integrate that and create more value with the other things that are going on right now? Oh, Simon, I have an idea. We could pick the top 5 podcast hosts of every month and invite them to be affiliate partners. So the ones who had most resonance with our audience. We should do collaborations. So, okay, so he says, proposal that in the marketing department, so we have to go over to Michelle. Hey, Michelle, there's a marketing SOP here. Can you join us? Lou is proposing that the best outcomes from this process, you take over there. What do you think? And so she takes over. So this is more how we think. We don't think in roles or org charts. We think more in value creation for your people, for the people that you are here to serve. So how can you create more value? And so each task has to show how it's creating value. And then the process owner has the job to really interlink it better to the other things. Now, when you do this, automatically you cut a lot of activities, because if they don't add value and if they don't interlink to other things, you start cutting them. Why should you do it? And so you stay with a few things, but those few tasks, they really build upon each other. So by doing that, you're also simplifying the business all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It actually, we have something called the core revenue flow, which is something that I work through with our clients. And it's exactly that. It's saying, look, you may be doing 101 different things right now, but if you had to take everything away and just put back the single pieces of the puzzle, which will get you a recurring stream of revenue, what would they look like? And everything else is nice to have. But until those things are on autopilot and can happen without your involvement, everything else is a distraction. So I think it's pretty much exactly the type of approach that you've got. So it's very good to hear where I'm seeing from
Yes.
the same hymn sheet. Yeah.
And recurring revenue, sometimes they have just revenue when we start with them. But each client needs to be hunted new. So the first thing is to make revenue repeatable revenue. So you can do it again and again and again. That's usually takes us a couple weeks just optimizing that. We insert specific prospecting systems and closing steps, 8 steps of closing the deal. And now it's repeatable. Now they can teach it and they can hire. Second step is recurring. So where you just have to sign it once, but it's a subscription, it's a monthly or annual subscription, and it keeps on renewing on autopilot like Netflix. This is usually where we help people build communities or masterminds, things that have recurring revenues like subscriptions. And then after recurring revenue, what can we add as a passive revenue stream? For example, licensing, franchising, IP lending, royalties from a book. Like my book is paying me while I sleep, and then this summer it will come out in Chinese. That will create a new revenue stream from that country that will be there every 6 months. They pay royalties. So this is in addition a passive stream that you can add to your business. So we look at what are additional passive streams that you can add. For example, people using your method and they pay for a license fee to use your method. Or it's different for every listener probably, but that's the work of month 2 of working together, that we look for, okay, revenue, then repeat revenue, then recurring revenue, and then passive revenue.
And I'm guessing each one builds on the previous one. So it's good to start at the beginning, so to speak, and then go through the process.
Yes, because if you do that, and you are a systems pro, so you see immediately that you can create also more work if you do it the wrong way. But if you stay with the core activities, then you're actually not creating more stress. You are just adding more revenue streams with the work that you're already doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned community in there, which is something that's on the top of my agenda at the moment, as I mentioned before we came on live, as I'm in the midst of developing our own community platform and or launching our own community platform, I should say. And I know that you talk about community as being a key aspect of growth or business growth. So where does community fit into this, and why is it you say that? Why is community so important for business growth?
Community is the new marketing. If we go back to the beginning, sales is broken. It's antiquated in many ways. Think of your buying experience. You're looking for a new CRM software. You Google best CRM software. And now you find just a software, and you find a software with YouTubers talking about it, with a Discord group, with a Slack group, with a buzz going on around it. Which one is less risky for you to buy? The one with a buzzing community, because you know that when you have a question, you might find a video about it, the answer. That when you are assessing the risk, what if this goes belly up in 2 years? Well, it's less probable that a software with a community goes belly up. it's more probable that a software without a community goes belly up. They go belly up all the time. But if they have a community, well, something is working there. So you are de-risking the decision for the buyer. And our method, the strategy sprints method, is all about reducing buyers' risk and increasing buyer safety. So help them buy. And how do you help them buy? By decreasing the risk of their decision. Their decision is full of risks: reputation risk, financial risk, resource risk, timing risk. I mean, that's terrible. So how can you decrease those risks? Number one, having a community. For example, how many sales coaches are there? A ton of sales coaches. So if you Google sales coaches, you find a ton of methods and self-denominated gurus, etc. So which one do you pick? I personally look at who has a real community of actual people that care about them, that are cared by them. So actually, where is friendship and camaraderie and growing together? Where is this going on? Because this is what I really need. I want connection. I want friendship. I want support. I want a little kick in the butt when I need it. This is what we actually need, right? Like a group of friends. So when I'm looking for a sales coach, I'm looking at those things. I go into the communities, the forums, I read the reviews, I look at Google reviews, I look at is there information going on from the community about that method? Are there testimonials? All these kind of things. And so in our case, when people look up Simon Severino, they find the 200K club. They find a community of sales accelerators where they're posting all the time. Hey, I did this and I made $70,000. Yoo-hoo! And everybody is, whoa, bravo, 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 bravo. And then on LinkedIn, you see they're commenting on each other's stuff. And now you go, okay, I can go with this guru or I can go with this community. I go with the community. This is how you can de-risk your expertise. So if you are, let's say you are building websites for people, right? Or you are a marketeer or you're a finance advisor. Which finance advisor do you trust most? One that's just solo or one that has a full community of his clients and they are helping each other and they're saying, wow, my 401k is now up 25%. Look, I made $200 in dividends this week. I'm happy. I would go with the community that has finance advice instead of just a solo guy saying on the website, I'm a great finance advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually started Systems and Outsourcing, the parent company. I started that through community. So I launched a Facebook group back in 2016, 17, and just started chatting about what I was doing and supporting people and helping them. And that grew rapidly into the thousands and was launched everything about my business because all those things you're saying about the importance of community, it's like the authority that it gives you and the confidence people have. I know because I've spoken to many of my clients about, what the reasons it's actually one of the things we do on sales calls. I do on sales calls. I ask them, what do you know about me? What, how did you find me? Why do you trust me? In effect, it's the trust element. And so often people say, I've listened to your podcast or I've been following you on social media for years. It's those sorts of comments that come in that make, even if I don't see it, because Facebook or whatever channel it's using, the reach is often so throttled that it can be quite demoralizing as business owners to think we're not actually reaching anyone, we're not actually making an impact because we can't see the actual effects on it because they're driving us to put paid ads behind stuff to drive it because that's how they make their revenue. But actually, it's often the quiet observers that are actually just taking it in. They're seeing what people are saying, they're watching what you're doing, and then when you get into that sales opportunity, that you've done all that hard work, that those hours of content they watched or the comments they've read, it all adds up and makes that sale so much easier, doesn't it?
Totally. And now maybe listeners go, oh, but I don't have a huge audience. I cannot build a community. I need a huge audience and I need a ton of content. It's a myth. In reality, the only thing that you need is decide who you're here to serve, your main offers or what you sold for them, and the one platform where they hang out, where you will show up every day from now on. That's it. And when you decide that you will show up, for example, for me, it's LinkedIn. I show up every day on LinkedIn, whatever the day is, and I will share one thing that's timely, relevant, and real for them from my life. If you do that, now you are creating community because resonance sells. So when they see, oh my God, he has 3 kids, I have also 3 kids, that's resonance. And then you go, oh, I'm also pissed when my kids put their clothes on the floor instead of where they should put them. So now that's resonance. Now, if the end of your post goes, by the way, guys, we have an event coming up soon where we talk about, how you can organize your teams better, like you organize your family, then that might be a relevant and timely call to action for them. And so, for example, yesterday I posted just from my morning run. There was something that I've experienced on my morning run. I make a picture, I post it on LinkedIn. It got 35 comments because the question was, how do you start your day? This is how I start my day, describing the experience. How do you start your day? So this is community building. People think it's so complicated and it's a full science. No, it's actually, I am on this journey from here to there, and I'm sharing the journey with you. I'm doing this in public. So define you're here, define you're there, and I'm doing this in public. So I'm an entrepreneur who scales a business. I'm doing this in public. Are you interested in joining the journey? And people love joining a journey. This is why we watch Netflix, because we like stories and journeys unfolding. And we don't know what's going to happen. Oh my God, this could go wrong. This could go right. Everything can happen on a journey. So it's exciting. That's the best marketing. And if you do it in a vulnerable way, hey, this is who I am. And this is my mistake of today. And this is what I've learned from it. Now it's real and people want to connect to that. And this is the seed of your community. Now you have 30 people saying their stuff. They know 3 people each. You have a 90 people's community. And then we show you how to start charging for that, 10,000 a year. And now you have a proper paid community with recurring revenues.
I love that. You just broken it down into something that's doesn't feel threatening. It sounds achievable. It doesn't, there's always going to be a small fear if you've not done it before. I remember my first times of going on social media and posting anything, but even before I started doing video, just like, will anyone look at it? And the more you do it, the easier it gets, obviously. But even with those small fears, if we can align the result, if we truly believe, like you said, if this is the most powerful way for us to actually generate sales in the long term, or in the short and the medium term, I guess, is simply by showing up, being authentic, being vulnerable, telling the story, sharing what is happening, what's going right, what's going wrong. It's not rocket science. And I love that.
This is short-term revenue generation. So that post yesterday morning, that post done with consistency, that fills our monthly public events. Because the call to action is join our workshop, right? In the workshop, we have 90 registrants, 45 participants. Of those 45 participants, I solve a real world problem with them because it's a workshop. So I say either, hey, come on, let's help you delegate something, or let's help you increase your win rate. So they bring their real problem. I solve it in the workshop. Afterwards, they go, oh, Simon, is there a way we can do this more often? And say, yeah, sure. We have a coaching program here. of those 45, if only 3 closed, that's $75,000. And it happened in 30 days.
Yeah.
With an effort of 5 minutes per day posting, $0 ad spend. So this is one of the organic flywheels, we call them, that we build, one of the organic revenue streams that we build with our clients. And this is the example if you decide to do it over online events. But there are 17 different ways that you can create revenue streams and as your core revenue stream. And then after that, you can put your clients together in communities, in paid communities. Now you are adding the recurring stream. And then you can codify that method and make it a book. Now you're adding book royalties. And each translation will pay you again. And then from the book, you can create a train the trainer method, a certification, a franchise. You can do IP lending. And you stack revenue streams on that, and they become more and more passive. But the work was done in those 30 days.
Yeah. I love it. You just simplified what seems incredibly complicated into something, as I said before, it just seems achievable. And I think that's the art of someone who knows what they're talking about, and who, rather than trying to make it sound complicated and oh my God, you can't possibly do this without knowing all this incredibly complicated, and you need to go and learn for hours and then weeks and weeks, well, hours for years to be able to do this. It's like, no, actually, if you follow a process, this is achievable. I love that. It's what I try and do with my clients with operations and systems. So I love that approach.
It will get complicated. So people can stop it right now, transcribe it, put it as a project and start implementing it. What will happen in 2 weeks is they will make it complicated again. And then they will go, oh my God, but now it's complicated. How do I post? Where do I post? And so then they stop posting and they collapse again instead of just implementing. This is why we started the 200K Club. Now you need a community of people who say, hey, Steve, I didn't see any posts from you in the last 3 days. Where are you? Come on. And you go, yeah, but I'm on holidays in Mykonos. I say, yeah, come on, show us Mykonos. That's part of the journey. You don't have to stop for 3 days. Just make a picture of Mykonos. And so this is what happens in a community, that people start calling each other out, supporting each other. And then one goes, oh my God, this is too much. I can't do this. But yeah, you're doing it too complicated. Look, do this. I did this. Now it takes me just 5 minutes. So it will get complicated again, but that's where you need the support. And so Absolutely. If I don't post, I get called out by my own community. They go, Simon, what's going on? For example, last time I posted something about a topic that was irrelevant to them. It was just exciting to me. And they said, who cares about this? So this is important feedback so that you learn, okay, to focus on the things that are relevant to them right now and to never collapse again. Because the only problem of entrepreneurs is they collapse in between. So they know they should show up with their core message every day. But for some reason, they find a reason to collapse. And they say, yeah, I'm having a pause from this and that. Well, your competitors are not. Yeah.
Very, very wise words. And that accountability is priceless. And it's the one thing we see, in our community, is that it's so easy to start all these things. And I will hold my hands up that I have paid for coaches, experts, gurus, courses, and haven't had that support, haven't had that accountability to drive it forward. And or as soon as it stops, whatever reason, like just go back to old bad habits and don't see the value and don't get the value or the return on investment that I had hoped I would. And so I think it's I see it with our clients so often as well. People that get involved, that become a member of the community in an active way, they're the ones that 6 months from now are now posting about these huge successes and life-changing experiences, and the ones that never really got involved never really get there. So 100%. Yeah.
And sometimes when you're building a system, it feels like, oh my God, nothing is happening, nothing is happening. So it's gradually, 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 and then suddenly. So for example, posting every day on LinkedIn. The first 3 weeks you do it, you will feel like crickets, 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 crickets. Unless you are in the 200K club, then you have, 25 people commenting there because you have an actual community. But if you just started, it's crickets, 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 crickets. And so after 3 weeks, most people go, I tried LinkedIn, doesn't work for me. And I say, what exactly have you tried and how long have you tried? And what's your support group? And I go, oh, just 3 weeks. I don't have a support group. And I collapsed every fourth day with inconsistency.
Yeah, totally. Before we do finish, I wanted to just actually go back a little bit into what we're talking about with regards to delegation of sales. And this is a genuine challenge that I have faced. I've tried to overcome it. I've unfortunately failed in my attempts. And for me at this stage, it's not a problem because as I was saying earlier, I have a small group of high ticket. When I say high tickets, I have a small group of people I coach on a very close basis, very interactive with them, and so there's a fee associated with that, and so I can cope at the moment with all the sales calls I need to do, which is not a big number. There's a high conversion rate because they come as referrals, but this is a long way to get to my question. Hiring this first salesperson, we talked about documenting the process to get down what each person is going to be doing. But when is, in your opinion, the right time to take on a first salesperson? And how does that relationship look? And this is the challenge I've really faced is, do I need a certain revenue to make, a commission basis attractive to them? Do they need to be full-time? So therefore I need again, an X number of revenue to make that even practical. And, how does one go about even finding somebody who you're going to trust to sell in a way that you feel is genuine and authentic and not salesy and pushy, which most business owners just don't want that, especially if they are, the center of their business? Big questions, sorry.
Many questions. Let's tackle them.
Yeah.
One is when to start. Do I need a minimum revenue? Start immediately, because the referrals can dry up in any moment, and then it's too late to start an active sales process, because it will take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months until it really works when you're building it.
I mean, just to be clear, specific, like hiring someone to do the sales themselves, like literally on the phone or whatever, to actually make that sale. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Immediately, commission-based freelancer contractor, fully commissioned. And the only two things that you need to have is a pipeline review and a deal review meeting. So those are two specific meetings. One at the beginning of the week, it's a pipeline review meeting, and one at the end of the week, it's a deal review meeting. Those are the two things you need to install. Even if you're a solopreneur, you install them as if you are an enterprise. And this is the department. This is the sales meeting. And I'm the only person in that meeting. Yeah, run it like it would be a 5-people team. Just for a couple of weeks. And now you start posting on LinkedIn, I'm looking for a salesperson fully commissioned. So when they come in, they find a structure. This is the pipeline review meeting. This is the sales script. This is the list of cold leads. This is the list of warm leads. This is the list of referrals that we just received. This is the list of referrals that we just gave, because when you want to receive referrals, you have to give referrals. And so you create those 3 lists, the cold list, the warm list, and the hot lead list. These are the people that just inquired to work for us. They have downloaded 17 things on the website, so they really want something. Those are the 3 lists, and this is the structure that you need for the pipeline review meeting. So when you find a salesperson and they plug in, now they find everything there. There is the sales script, there's the list of cold leads, warm leads, hot leads, and they can start working. Also, you have to select one sales method. There are multiple methods out there. I prefer the strategy sprints method personally, but whatever method you pick, make sure you have one, because now you need to train, you need to supervise on that, and you need to review and get better at it together. And then there is the end of the meet deal review meeting. This is important because in the pipeline review meeting, you pick 1 or 2 opportunities that you will rehearse on Friday. You will say, all right, let's go deeper. You double click into them, and for 20 minutes, you look at that specific opportunity. So you do role plays, you rehearse their objections, you empathize with what they will be asking, you look at their website, etc. You try to understand their industry, their competition, the trends coming. So you really take 20 minutes to go into deep into that. So when you have the sales call, you are locked and loaded with value. You have already 2-3 ideas for their business growth. Boom, they want to have this every week.
Fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it. Simon, I wish I could keep on talking to you for hours about this, but we do need to draw it to a close. And before we do go, I just have a couple of signature questions that I always like to ask everybody, if you don't mind. The first one, and I'm actually going to ask you a more specific question than I usually do. The first one is about apps. So which are your 3-ish favorite apps, browser plugins, things you use? And what I wanted to actually ask you specifically about was, if you're watching this on YouTube, you would have seen this, but on the if you're listening to the podcast, as we were speaking, Simon pulled up a screen share just on covering his video on Zoom. Very slick, didn't involve the whole share screen thing, which you normally get with Zoom. And I thought that is a really nice little app feature to have. So first off, what app did you use to do that?
That was Ecamm Live. And if I had to pick 3, I'm using a ton of apps. It's our biggest expenditure is software, which I highly recommend you all guys do, and not have headquarters or whatever as the main expenditure. The softwares that are really helping us a lot. One is Poe, and specifically in Poe, we use Opus 3, a Claude 3 Opus, which it's like ChatGPT, less known, but I think as powerful, and we use it a lot. We have also our own AI. It's called My Business Coach in Poe that we use a lot for research. So what's going on in this industry? What is the competitive situation of this person? And then it analyzes that and it prepares for the sales calls. Something that we use every day is Slack. This is where I live and our team lives 24/7, because somebody's always awake and working in Slack, and the other people take it from there. And then one software that I use every day is our AI that gives us feedback on our own sales recordings. So it's telling me, Simon, you were speaking 35% of the time. That's okay-ish. The goal is to be at 30% of the time during a sales call. That's a good sales person's performance. And a terrible one is you are speaking 70% of the time. So that's that real-time feedback, which during the call shows you the percentage of talking. And then up there, we have our 8 steps. And it says, oh, you set the price before you inquired for the reason they want to work with you. So you did step 6 before step 2, and it's giving me a bad rate. Both live, it's showing me live that I'm skipping a step, but also later on in the deal review, when we look at everybody's sales calls, it says, Simon is at a 4.1. He has to learn to not say the price too early. Lou is at a 4.7. Congrats, you're leading the pack.
Which software is this? I don't think you mentioned the name.
Oh, we just created it for ourselves, and we share it with our clients. They also get sales coaching from there.
Yeah.
Because it's about practicing the 8 steps of closing the deal. And that practice never stops. You always want to become slightly better in the sales call. And when you start hiring people, that's the method that you start training them on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I had a look at a couple of Zumo apps, similar sort of idea, but they were all analyzing after the fact or training before the fact.
Yeah.
This live element, I love the sound of. And also think the scoring and everything that's absolutely awesome. Oh, cool.
The sprints method is a real-time method.
Yeah.
Iron Man is in action. He needs Jarvis now, not later.
Yeah. Fantastic. Cool. So one final question for you is, the title of this podcast is Systemize Your Success. But what does success mean to you?
Having fun. That's my only goal for this year is having fun. And this is my definition of success. I wake up tomorrow in the morning. Can I design a day around what's fun for me? So if the weather is great, I want to go biking and swimming. And if the weather is terrible, I want to talk to cool entrepreneurs on the internet. So can I design my day in a way that's fun for me? And everybody needs to define what fun is to them. But I have a clarity of what fun is for me. And so my success is when my day is designed around what's fun.
I love it. Great answer. Simon, if people want to find out more about working with you or just follow you on LinkedIn, you mentioned a few times, like what is the best places for people to learn more about you, get to know you, be a part of your community, and if they're ready to take the next step, how do they do that?
If they're looking for our sales systems and checklists, they can grab the book, Strategy Sprints, on Amazon. If they're looking to talk to us, we are at strategysprints.com, and they can click and schedule a call with us, and we can take it from there. We are also everywhere from YouTube to LinkedIn under Simon Severino or under Strategy Sprints. You find us everywhere.
Perfect. And we'll put those links into the show notes as well, in case you're listening to this and you have access to them. Perfect. Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I really genuinely enjoyed this, and I love the way you have distilled the hidden or the secret art of sales into something that does genuinely feel achievable and with a real systemized approach. And that's what I love about this is that you have actually thought this through as a method rather than something that you teach people a skill and then they have to go away and figure out how to join it all together. This is like, by the sounds of it, and not having been through your program yet myself, but it just seems like you've actually got a process that if I implement this step by step, then actually I can get a result which is almost guaranteed.
Oh, and your folks are systems people, so let me give them a bonus point
Go for it.
Because they can download many of our tools and systems for free on our website. So it's strategysprints.com/tools, and many of those tools they can grab for free and implement them already.
Fantastic. Even better. Cool. I'm going to go and head there right now. Thank you, Simon. Really nice to have you on the show.